please help me in welcoming, first and foremost, writer, director, the lovely Ruba Nadda. Come on in. We have the lead actor in the movie, Alexander Siddig. Alex, come and join us. And we have the lovely and talented Oscar-nominated Patricia Clarkson in the house, star of Cairo Time. And we're all here and having fun on day 5. So what you should know first is these guys blew the roof off of the place last night at their world premiere. It was incredibly exciting. And Ruba, let's start with the inspiration for the story when you sat down to write it. What was it about the city of Cairo that inspired the story?
My parents, when I was 16, took the family and I on a visit to Cairo, and I found the city to be magical. It was just beautiful. It was ancient and it had so much history and so chaotic and busy and crazy. And it left a visual imprint on my brain. And I thought, I have to set a story in this beautiful, beautiful city.
Ruba has the passion for film and the characters that she creates, unlike anybody else. Patricia, what was it that got you kind of enthralled with her and willing to go to Cairo and embark on this journey when you're in virtually every single scene in the movie?
Hello. Oh, is this on? Or is my voice? Oh, I was going to say, or is my voice that deep? And then I realized, yes, it is. This is on. You can hear. Okay. No, I was sent the script in the usual way. My agent, but my agent was madly in love, fell in love with the script, and said, "Patty, this is the script. You're going to love the script. Read it." And I read it, and I called him back and I said, "You're right, this is truly one of the most beautiful scripts I've ever read." And what an amazing thing that this woman I didn't know had written a lead woman that's north of 40. Thank you, God bless you.
You're welcome.
And so I loved it, and Ruba flew to New York, and what I thought was going to be just a kind of quick get to know each other lunch turned into like a day. I think we were separated at birth. We are really the same people. And we had this amazing meeting, and the next thing I know, I woke up and I was in Cairo.
And Alex, you get brought into this love affair. You were actually, now, am I right in this, Ruby? You wrote this for Alex?
Well, it's so hard to find Arab actors in their 40s, and sorry to give away
your age. It's all right for me. I'm okay with that.
And I've been a fan of Alexander's for years, and I wrote it for him, and I keep saying it was divine intervention that I got these 2 magnificent actors in this movie, and I'm very lucky.
Tell me a little bit about taking on a role that you know it really is the 2 of you on screen, creating this wonderful attention and chemistry and moments that are so big and yet so small because she has such restraint.
Yeah, well, it was, I mean, first of all, it was a real treasure, a treat to find a character, a role that wasn't intent on trying to blow up the White House or, hijack an airplane. And I've played a couple of those in my time. And knowing, when I met Ruba, saw what a smashing woman she was, and realized that she had written this extraordinary script. It was relatively easy decision for me to make, to play a gentle guy who I really liked. And then, obviously, enter Patricia. And it just plugged it into a socket in the wall and added a bunch of electricity to the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the things I love so much about the movie is that it's not Egypt 101. You really avoid that travelogue notion, and really it is about the characters, and yet this fantastic city is also a character in the movie. What was it like being there, affected by a place that is so different than what we are familiar with? First of all, for the performance, and then for you, Ruba, as well.
It was, my character in the movie, Juliette travels to Cairo for the first time, and I Patty traveled to Cairo for the first time. So it was, you know, a dual awakening, you know, on camera, off camera. But it is a city that it has aching poverty and despair, but it also has breathtaking beauty and it's a visceral, visual city, and you are constantly bombarded with the glory of you know, its land and its people. So it really, every day was an adventure, every single day in Cairo, and it was one of the most memorable, greatest, glorious, most glorious experiences I've ever had in my life.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked most major Arab cities now on one project or another, and and Cairo is one of the most magical. And apart from the fact that it has this amazing, energetic river running through it that you know has come from thousands of miles away.
I mean the Nile.
The Nile.
Yes, that you don't want to touch.
Yeah, well, you don't want to touch it necessarily, but you kind of do. It's sort of quite magnetic. You have to be sort of stopped, and then you do see the kids at 3 and 5 years old jumping, you know, 20 feet into the water, and they come up fine, you know.
But we wouldn't.
No, that's true. That's true. I loved Cairo, and I mean, you just have to not get too sentimental about most Arabic cities. You can't. They're not places where you go a lot. You engage with them. You live. You know, you really live in the present with these places, and they pay you handsomely for that kind of communication.
Shooting there must have been, I mean, it's dense with people, with noise, with not exactly ideal movie-making conditions.
It was, I keep saying that the movie is this luscious, serene, languid romance, and off-screen it looked like we were shooting an action movie. It was crazy. It was just, our set was a constant moving target. If it could go wrong, it did, and it, you know, and we were very lucky to we got this movie through the skin of our teeth. That's right? Like that saying. Okay. Yes.
By the skin of your teeth. By the skin of your teeth.
Yes.
Okay.
I always mix up my aphorisms. I'm so glad somebody else does.
You were separated at birth.
Yeah,
That's true.
I actually once said someone bit the farm.
So, you talk about it being this great love story, and there is something really lyrical about the pacing, like, which isn't about blowing things up, which isn't about. Talk to me a little bit about the confidence you had to give the movie the breathing space it needed and the performances, and just about that sitting in the editing room and what you were working with Alexander and Patricia.
When I first wrote the story, it was a very simple and subtle story, and I was really passionate about making sure that this movie got made. I mean, it was crazy, the financing of it. But I was also committed to, I knew that the love story was unrequited and unexpected. And we had to get to know these characters so that it could be a sucker punch at the end. And you have to have patience in filmmaking to allow this love story, this to happen. And it was, I mean, part of it as well, I wanted to show a story that wasn't about immediate gratification, you know, which is, I find sometimes a bit North American. It was Cairo time. It was a slower pace. Like Cairo is so crazy and chaotic and beautiful and bustling, but it's also an assault to the senses, and that chips away at your guard, and it forces you to slow down whether you like it or not. And I had to show that in the movie.